Look at that amazing hat. I am so excited for today's episode, you guys. Anyways, welcome to today's episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. I guess I should get all that out of the way. I have Matt and Ray on with us with Wize Load. What a cool hat, right? They have such cool like swag and cool logo. And anyways, so these guys, if you do not know them, which you should because they're so funny and amazing, but these guys have such a great platform. So basically specializing in overdimensional freight and have a load board specifically tied to that. If you have ever done overdimensional freight, you'll know that it's a lot of times really difficult on other load board platforms out there to actually find the right type of trucks with the right specific type of equipment. That's really difficult, especially with all the other factors. And getting into OD freight is super hard. And so he kind of breaks that down in this episode too, of like how to get into the freight and how their platform helps you as far as like pricing and with escorts and all those weird things that like honestly like is kind of like over my head on things. Now, if you're already part of the OD space, you're probably like, oh my God, I already know these things. But if you're not, it's a good way to get in it. And these guys are really helpful with kind of teaching you on how to do it. So anyways, let's jump in this episode and yeah, let's jump in.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
What's up, my boys?
How you doing? Good to see you.
I know. I'm so happy to see you guys. I've been wanting you guys to come on since day one, but you guys don't respond back to emails. So I've been having to hunt you down to get you to come on the show.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. You're right.
Yeah, it's all your guys' fault. You guys could have been on here.
I told you.
Episode.
I think you're blocked behind a firewall or something. I would accept your email anytime it comes through, but I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ray likes me better, Matt. That's why.
I was waiting to see if you got big enough to have me on. So
That's what it is. Yeah.
I told her. I said, "What is she, Joe Rogan now?"
Congratulations. You made the cut.
I'm the Joe Rogan of logistics. Wouldn't that be cool? One day, maybe.
Absolutely.
So real quick, have you guys introduced yourself just for those who do not know you, which I can't imagine anybody doesn't. But let's have Ray go first and introduce yourself, and then we'll throw Matt in.
I'm Ray Ziegler. I've been with, working in the OD and specialized freight arena for about 20 years now. And it's in my blood, and it's just something that, we've loved doing since day one, and we can't really live life without it.
Love it. What about you, Matt?
Matt Ziegler. I am the president of Wize Load, and I've been in Overdimensional for 30 years. Even though I'm the younger brother, I've been in for longer. I started in the asset-based side, and then went into the logistics and technology side later on.
I love it. Yeah, you guys have definitely helped me understand Overdimensional, because I think it's definitely a world that like either you're in it or you're not in it, and getting in it can be really like difficult to understand. And there's so many different things like, I need a permit for something. And I would be totally lost, and I would need somebody to like hold my hand through. So that's why I wanted to bring you guys on and kind of be like a high level. Hey, if I'm wanting to dip my toe in, how do I even do that? What are some things to know? What are some things to avoid? So whoever wants to jump in first, I guess, just to kind of help our people listening on how to get in. And then we'll jump into, I also want to talk about your product too, because it's super cool.
So it's funny that you actually brought it up that way, because that's actually the way I get approached a lot by other brokers across the country, because 95, probably 98% of the brokers across the country are doing mostly van freight, and they look at the flatbed and overdimensional world, and it kind of, I don't want to say scares them, because I don't really mean it in that term, but they don't know it, so it's intimidating to them. We've gotten to the point where we've been in it for so long, we can just start rattling things off, when permits are needed, when they're not. And because we've got so fluid in it, we started putting tools together to help other brokers go down the flat and OD world. So I understand why people would be so intimidated by it, but honestly, once you get into it and you really get deep into it, I would never look back and head down the van world.
Well, there's some advantages to flatbed and overdimensional. The average revenue per load on freight like that is closer to $3,000 rather than van brokerage is $1,200 to $1,300, usually somewhere in there. So just being able to make more money and by doing less work is it does lure people in. The problem is that the mistakes are bigger. When you make a mistake, it costs you a lot more, and that's what really deters people from getting in this mode more, is when they make that first mistake, they get gun shy, and that and I don't blame them, but the tool we put together is really designed around helping them avoid making those type of mistakes.
Gotcha. So I guess let's start talking about Wize Load then, since that kind of cues us in there. So let's say I've never done it before. Would I be able to like jump into the tool and be like, hey, I just got a bid from this. Like I can start figuring out pricing and I can figure out lanes and find carriers. Like, are you guys kind of like the one that can get me started, or do I need to know a little bit before I get in?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do it your first day in logistics, but yeah, I think if you have a base knowledge, you could jump into Wize Load and be able to first of all, you can run a quote for anything up to 14 wide, 14 high, and it'll include permits, escorts, and circuitous miles. So it gives you the market rate for that type of freight, and it includes all the accessorial charges and breaks them out, so you know how much is going to be per state for permits, how many miles you're traveling each state, and what the escort. And it's not the escort like you're thinking of in Vegas, Danielle. It's the car that's following behind the truck with the lights flashing. That's wide load, and some states require an escort where others don't. I always give this example. If I have a 14-foot wide load going from Wisconsin to Texas, I don't have to have an escort in Wisconsin or Illinois, but I do need one in Missouri and Oklahoma, and then I don't need one again in Texas. So Wize Load will actually give you the pricing that you need in Missouri and Oklahoma for that escort vehicle, and put it on the quote, so that you're not making a mistake in underbidding your freight without having those accessorials included in. And then once you run it, you can post it, and when you post a load on Wize Load, then you can do a carrier search, and you're going to get 10 recommended carriers. Now, what we're recommending, the reason why we're recommending them is they've done that lane before somewhere, and they have the equipment type that you need. If it's a double drop load, it's looking for just carriers that would have double drops. So the biggest complaint when we first started, because we just had the pricing tool, was that, okay, fine, I believe your price is correct. Now who am I going to call?
Right.
So we started providing. Well done. Now you're showing your age.
You teed me up for that. Okay, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
So yeah, we're going to provide them with carriers that can do that as well.
Very cool. And so carriers are getting on the board too, and like posting their availability and stuff like that.
Well,
okay.
Trucks don't post their availability. They do searches, but if they do searches, they can also be listed as a recommended carrier in certain lanes. So if they want to be listed out of Chicago with a double drop, they can hit that list of recommended carriers for that type of equipment out of that origin spot.
I also think, just to touch on one of the things Matt brought up earlier, the way each state is different makes it very difficult when you start out, okay? What's cool about our tool is there's actually an interactive map that you can click on, and you can go into every single state, and it shows you the parameters of what, when things become OD, when things become super loads, what you need in that situation. So every single state, as you hover over the top of it, the map will give you that information. So it's almost, I like to reference it as like a teaching tool. So now your salespeople can actually go in there and see exactly what it takes in each one of these states to get the freight through. And by having your salespeople actually know and start learning that, they sound like experts when they're talking on the phone. It helps them sell better. You know what I'm saying? So it's a teaching tool. I almost reference it back in the day when I was in school. I'm going to really show my age here.
Abacus? Is that what you're going to bring up, the abacus?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, they didn't allow any calculators in school. You could not have a calculator. Now kids got computers basically on their phone that they can do everything. Well, when we first started in the industry, there was no tool like this. So Matt and I had to learn, and because, all the things that we went in and out throughout this industry, we were able to put these stuff all down. And now we basically giving the cheating calculator to the newer people that are, just getting into this. And by doing that, it helps them get to the point where they can grow in this arena a lot faster and actually know what they're talking about and understand it better.
The way a normal broker would do something like this right now is they would call a carrier and they'd ask the carrier for a quote. They'd say, hey, can you give me a quote on a 13-wide load going from Wisconsin to Texas, right, or Dallas to wherever. And the carrier, it's work to do quotes. You know, they have to figure out what the escort requirements are. So they might give you one or two, but if you don't give them freight, then they're just going to stop quoting you. So, you know, from a broker's perspective, he's like, well, I can't get a number. I don't, what am I supposed to charge for this? That was the real reason we first started doing this, was that we wanted to be able to go with a price that was accurate and go to our customers before we even talk to a carrier. We don't get quotes from carriers. We know that Wize load is accurate, and we have a lot of historical data that shows that it is very, very accurate. And being able to go to your customer right away, provide a quote just, you know, within minutes, and not have to worry that, oh, okay, great, I got the load now, I have to cover it. We're giving you capacity that's going to be able to cover it as well. It really makes doing this freight a lot easier, where, you know, instead of having to call a carrier for every quote you get and then they just don't respond to you because they're not getting any freight. That's probably the most common thing that most brokers out there go through, is they try it and yeah, they got a quote here and there, and then as soon as they try and get more quotes, the carrier's just not responding anymore. Well, I wouldn't either. It's a lot of work, and then I'm not getting any freight, then I'm not going to respond to it, something like that.
I also found out early on that if I was back quicker with my quote to my customer, a lot of times I'd get that freight. You know, they're waiting on the quote to get to their customer. You know, there's just a chain. If I can get that back to them faster, they can go and they can secure the deal faster as well. So first to market gets the freight. So it was very important in the beginning that we get these numbers, accurate numbers, back to these people as soon as possible.
Well, and I think other, like, you know, load boards out there, I know whenever I barely ever worked on flatbed freight, but whenever I did, if it was like a Conestoga, like it was usually just like flatbed or Conestoga or something. But even that, like it was hard to search for those, period. Like, or I would be calling them, they're like, oh, I accidentally clicked the wrong button and I actually don't have that, and I only have this. And you're like, well, what the heck? It's so hard to like narrow down and find the people that actually have the right type of trailers. And there's a lot of weird, like with my Care Portal, I helped build that piece out where it has like all the weird type of trailer, because there's like a bajillion, like I never knew all the things. And so, you know, having like an oddball request, you're not like at a hang up where you're like, I don't even know who to call. This would be where like you can kind of see, because it has like all the different trailer types, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. And it gets a little bit complex in the trailer types, because there's different deck heights for each different trailer type. Like a double drop can be anywhere from 24 inches to 12 inches. You know, you can get some that so if you're loading the piece on top of a double drop, that's where you start from, and then your overall height becomes whatever the piece is plus the trailer height. So getting the the deck height down avoids escorts in some states. So it really starts to be complex. And when you learn more about the industry, you can actually in Wize Load change the deck height, because you found a guy with an 18-inch deck instead of a 24-inch deck, and you'll see that price go down because it took some escorts off, and that you can add to margin, because other people aren't going to find that unique trailer that you found with this guy. So there's a lot of little nuances that once you learn and really get involved in it, you can do some really cool things to be able to give yourself a competitive advantage when you're talking to your customer.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think like a lot of the people who I do know that are in like OD stuff, like they'll post like on LinkedIn or whatever, these like just ginormous projects. And I'm like, how do they even ship these things? Especially right now with like data centers and all the different things that we're doing like in the US and infrastructure we're building and all this like Trump initiative to do all this type of stuff. I mean, the building materials and stuff that they're shipping, there's a lot of freight out there. I feel like probably more now than ever. Am I right or no?
It's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's been a really shitty
it's
4 years.
To pick back up, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in everywhere, and that's in trucking, you know, across the board. But yeah, it's starting to pick up. We are definitely seeing an uptick right now, and I truly believe it's about to take off again. I mean, I've been in this industry long enough to know the ebbs and flows of the industry, and this has been a little bit too long for my liking. It is going to go back up, and I think it's going to be soon.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times it does kind of start with like flatbed stuff, and then because that seems to be where they have to build the stuff first before they make the product, before they do all this other stuff.
Well, that's where you end up with a capacity crunch first because it's a harder mode. That was one of the things too. Every tool out there has been built for vans. Everyone loves to have van customers, and I get it. It's the highest volume. It's the most frequent customer would be a van customer. We did this specifically for open deck market because these guys are out there chaining where other guys are just bumping a dock and getting unloaded, or they're out there tarping in the winter. You know how crunchy and crusty a tarp gets in the winter when they're up there 13 foot off the ground trying to tarp this damn thing. It's a lot of work. And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to develop something where we could be an advocate for that mode that works really, really hard, but gets kind of neglected in the technology and innovation area of logistics. I mean, we need to really try and help these smaller open deck carriers out there, because that's who most of them are, small guys. Who's out there advocating for them? We want to be out there advocating for them.
And I think sometimes, like, whenever you're like giving carriers a quote or trying to give them something, especially if you are in a dry van market and you're not thinking about all those things that they have to do as a driver, it's a lot different than any other mode. And so I think having a tool that kind of puts it in there too, like, hey, this is the things that they would have to do. Is there like, I guess, check boxes where you would say like that, also you have the tarp and whatever, and then pricing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all in there.
I was a driver when I first started. I drove truck. So I've tarp loads. I've chained this stuff down. It's not easy. It's dirty and it is difficult to do sometimes. I mean, some of these things don't have anywhere you can really chain them down. So it really gets challenging in a lot of ways that I can be empathetic to because I've done it. Where other people that haven't done it, it's a difficult time for them to go, well, it's just a tarp, just throw it on there. I'll give you $100. You give me $100 a tarp, you know what? I'd rather take a load for $300 less because you just insulted me with a $100 tarp charge.
Interesting. It's good to know.
That's one of the other great things about having the right price is when you go to the carriers, you have their correct price. So you don't look like an idiot and you're trying to lowball them. These guys are working their butts off. We want to make sure that they're getting paid what they should be getting paid. So we're definitely on the driver's side as well, saying these guys work their butts off, like Matt was saying. Let's make sure that they're getting what they should for all of these other things as well. And that's tough for a lot of people in the van world to understand it. Please, I'm not trying to bash the van world. I'm just saying when they see that it's $1,000 for them to tarp this overdimensional load, you try it once. Like Matt was saying, those tarps are frozen solid in the winter. You got to crack them open. You might get lucky and get a nice customer that lets you do it inside. They don't have to though. They can tell you to go pound salt and do it outside. So it's very, very difficult work, and we want to make sure that the drivers are getting taken care of as well.
One thing that I love about overdimensional flatbed freight is being fraud girl is that you guys really haven't been hit that hard, maybe yet, hopefully never. But I think because of that hard work, they have to do though, that's made it where it is harder for them to get into that market. Yeah. What is like real world? What are you guys actually seeing? Because I may be totally off on this.
It's much lower than what it is on the other side. But again, the advantage of doing van work is the volume, right? And with that volume, you can slip things in and have anonymity as someone that's looking to, whether it's fraud or whatever it might be. You can get by with that on a high volume basis with a load here and load there. Our loads, we're low volume, high revenue. So you're paying attention really closely to every load that even any type of auto tender, even if they accept an auto tender, we still call and want to talk to the person because it's like, you see this needs to be tarped. You see it's 8-foot drop tarps. You sure that you have this equipment? Because they'll say, yeah, and then they don't have it. Oh, I didn't see that. We actually physically talk to the driver on every single load that we have go through the system.
Which I wish every load and van and everything, I think we wouldn't have the problem that we're having today if we went back to getting on the phone, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah, communication is key.
Well, and they can talk about how they're losing this much on fraud, they're losing that much on fraud. Well, how much are they gaining by cutting people out of? Because that's what they're doing. They're auto tendering and they're getting caught in a fraud loop. Well, they've saved a lot of money by doing that. So I'd rather do it. And believe me, I'm a technology guy. I like technology, but I think if you start taking too much of the personal aspect of what we do away, we're going to automate ourselves right out of the business.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
On flatbed and oversized, you really can't do that. That's why I love the mode. I mean, it's always going to take a little bit of personal touch. There's too many variables. It's just too many variables on every single load, even a regular flatbed load. Like I said, you have something that's 8 foot tall, it needs to be tarped. You have to have 8 foot drops. They're pretty rare tarps. Mm-hmm. So even though you say you have a tarp, and some guys will like to just cover over the top and leave a part hanging out, if you can't do that, you got to get on the phone and make sure that these guys have the equipment that you need on every single load.
Which I guess that brings up another point. I know one thing, like I've seen like insurance claim wise is like, as you're dealing with overdimensional and there is tarping, making sure like their policy has it where like if they get wet that it's still covered or whatever it is there things that like if I'm just getting into it, like things I need to know, like tips like that, like I need to make sure on their insurance policy they don't have like a disclaimer for whatever to get them out of paying.
Have a good non-following contingent policy. So most, we run across people, we had actually a generator stolen, and they had a theft exclusion on their insurance policy. Who has a theft exclusion, right? I mean, that's
Isn't that weird?
It is weird, right? So, and it's very rare for things on a flatbed to get stolen. On the other hand, right? So, I mean, you need a forklift normally to be able to steal something on a flatbed, but if you have a good non-following contingent policy, your contingent will come in when it doesn't cover, when there's an exclusion like that. It shouldn't be a following policy because then it follows the same contingencies that the carrier's insurance has. So a non-following contingent policy is really your best protection against that.
Gotcha. Good to know. Because I know there's a lot of weird nuances with like overdimensional or whatever. But yeah, the theft one, I'm like, I feel like if you have that on your policy, are you actually just saying you're a bad guy? Like, I just think that's so crazy.
You don't want to look through everyone's policy and go through every exclusion. It's a nightmare. And the other thing is we're dealing with 99% small carriers. Think about who's the largest open deck carrier you know. You might know ATS or Bennett or there's a few big boys out there that are in open deck, but the vast majority are guys with less than 5 trucks. So, having a lot of times you want to advocate for those guys so that they don't end up doing something that hurts themselves either. They're very smart, and I'm not saying that they can't figure it out, but there's too many brokers out there that get in this mode that really are just trying to always go for, okay, what's the lowest I can get this. Now, I'm not a socialist. We're a for-profit organization, but I think at a certain point you have to have a responsibility to help carriers be successful as well. Otherwise, we're all going to be screwed.
I think that goes for all modes, really. Yeah. Like, I think we've gotten to that point, and that's why there's been so much tension between brokers and carriers, and the ones who really do succeed long-term in all the ups and downs are the ones that pay consistently, have good relationships with the carriers. It's not just like a, hey, like an automated process and no human interaction. Like those drivers have, they're sitting in the truck all day long. They want to talk to somebody. Like I remember calling my drivers and like, you'd end up getting one where like they wanted to talk forever and you're like, oh my God, I have so much to do. I can't sit here and chit chat, but that made his whole day, So I think definitely getting back to that, I think having like a tool too, that like helps you automate the things that like, figuring out if you need an escort or whatever, gives you more time to get on the phone and have relationships and stuff like that instead of having to do all the nuance.
Well, and you can help them explain to say, well, when are you going to pick up your escort in Missouri? And they go, well, I don't need an escort in Missouri. Maybe you don't want to put that guy on the load if he doesn't know about the escort requirements. So by having the tool, you can see those type of things and ask pertinent questions to the carrier and do a qualification with them so that you're, making sure that they know what they're doing when it comes to overdimensional too.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and like you said, having to you guys basically always have to talk to for sure the driver to be like, hey, is this legit? Because I think dispatchers will say anything, but for sure the driver, like, hey, you're gonna get, because otherwise you're not gonna get loaded, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they want that. They want to have those type of conversations. They really do.
Yeah, because otherwise they get stranded sometimes.
Well, it makes you look more legitimate as well, because that's what broker or carriers are worried about when they take something from a broker. They're like, does this guy really know what he's doing? What's going on here? When you start to ask those questions or bring that stuff up, it gives them a sense of, okay, these guys know what's going on. That's good.
And I think that's important, that they truly believe that the person on the other side of the phone knows what they're talking about, and just not Joe Blow trying to, blow smoke up their butt. Knowledge, you got to know what you're doing, and because mistakes are expensive in this industry.
Yeah, well, especially with OD. So that's why, like I said, a lot of people get nervous to get in it. But I think having at least like a tool that can dumb it down for the dummies out there like me would be helpful.
You know what's cool about our tool as well is the fact that on our Wize load board, you have to have all the dimensions in the order. You have to have a price in the order. We did this because we were thinking about the drivers. They don't want to sit and go back and forth with you because you didn't put a price on that load, and they're going to, well, how much you want for it? How, and you go back and forth. This way they can see right off the bat. If they want to try negotiating on it, that's fine, but the number's up front and it's right there for them. And that is a time saver on their side as well.
I'm going to go back on you a while. There used to be a company called In Transit, and they used to have a ton of freight posted. This was back in the early 2000s, and they would post freight, and they'd never put a price on. So you'd call and you're like, oh, that's exactly the lane I want to go. And they'd say, oh yeah, it's $1 a mile. They wanted to just get you on the phone so they could try and talk you into doing this really cheap freight by not putting a price on. I used to get so pissed. Actually, I stopped calling them altogether, because I'm like, I'm not gonna call and have this guy try and sell me like a used car salesman this crap freight.
Nickel and dime me.
So we wanted to make sure people put a price on their post, because honestly, you should be proud of the price you're going to pay. It may not be, it's not going to get you to retirement, but it also shouldn't be 40% below what market tells you it should be. You shouldn't have to worry about putting a rate on a posted load.
Well, nowadays, honestly, even like, van loads on DAT and stuff, not to throw DAT under there, but like a lot of days now they're just throwing a price in there when they're posting, and then like driver carriers are just filtering that from whatever lane they want and filtering it from the top. And that's how like I remember, especially whenever it was like hard to cover a lane, like I knew I needed to be $1 more than the highest guy up there, because then mine would go to the top. Like I know those tricks. Yeah.
When I used to search for freight, first sort I did was money. I do my search, first sort is money.
Well, I remember going to conferences years ago, Matt, and you can correct me on this number, but I believe at one time they were saying freight that's posted with a price on it gets covered 80% faster than 90% faster than freight without it. So that alone should tell you, put the number on there, but put the right number on it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because so my old brokerage, they were for a long time like, don't put rates on there. And I mean, a long time. We were like one of the last ones to like adopt to putting that on there. And then once we figured it out, like I said, we learned the dollar trick and whatever. And, we were getting stuff covered a lot faster, but we were a small brokerage. Like we were like maybe 10, 20 million or whatever. But, yeah, it was, and I was the only girl. There's only 4 of us. So anyways, but yeah, it's, I think pricing is important to know and be able to quote accurately. And like you said, like a carrier can say like, I don't want to work with you. And sometimes whenever something is quoted on the carrier side, if it is quoted like way too high compared to market, that's also a red flag.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's why we put dimensions on, because you're like, oh yeah, that's a good price. And then you call and yeah, that's 12 wide. Well, shit, why didn't you put that on the post? Because now I wouldn't have wasted my time, because that's not the right number for a 12 wide load. But they got you to call because they said, oh, it's a flatbed load and it's, $3-4 a mile, and you called thinking, okay, that's a really good price, but there must be something. It's it has a certain delivery date or whatever. And then they go, oh, it's 12 wide. Well, it's in transit all over again. You suckered me in, and now you're trying to get me to do something stupid.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Well, I've learned a lot about OD. Obviously, I don't know anything about it, so thanks for educating me. Yeah. So what shows are you guys going to? Where can everybody see you and all that?
We're actually going to the Mid America Truck Show in 2 weeks. I think it's the 28th or something like that. We'll have a booth there. We're set up. We'll have a team ready to talk to anybody wanting to listen. I don't ever have a struggle talking. So
Yeah, and you guys have the best swag, by the way. I should have wore my Wize hat load. I mean, my Wize load hat, whatever it is. I can't talk. I should have wore that. Dang it. That's
we
my
gave you
favorite hat, by
that.
the way. I
Come on.
know. I honestly wear it all the time. Like it's my favorite hat. But you guys have the best swag, so go buy for the swag.
Well, Erica does a great job with that, and she takes a lot of pride in our apparel and the hat and putting stuff out there for people on the socials, and it's really become a big seller for us. The marketing has just gone great.
Isn't that crazy how big that changes things? Like it's been interesting for me. Just I mean, like I'm like learning how to market myself, I guess, or the podcast because it's a grind. Like it is like you got to stay on there. You got to be consistent. You got to be original. You got to do all the things. So it's interesting.
Matt and I are so old that at first we're like, are we really getting business because of the marketing, or is it we would have got that business anyway? But then people started coming up to me. I'd be out at shows and different conferences and stuff, and people come, "Oh, dude, your marketing is off the wall right now. What you guys are doing is, so cool and innovative." And I'm like, "Guess we got, Erica's doing a great job. She's really put a whole thing together, and we're very happy with the way our marketing's gone."
She's a freaking rock star. I love that girl.
Oh yeah,
Should hire on that one.
She would have loved to have been here today.
I know. I love her so much. I can't. Is she going to TIA? So the next show I'm going to is TIA.
She is going to TIA, yeah. We're going to have a booth at the TIA as well. So
Heck
if
yeah.
you go to TIA, come by and see us there. That's a wonderful show for brokers across the country. I recommend to all brokers I talk to. I'm a big fan of the TIA. So much information. The sharing and the knowledge is beyond anything. I mean, it's spectacular. I love the fact that you can go there and not worry about, some guy trying to steal freight from you. That never happens. There's so much freight out there for everybody. What we all need is more education. So when you go to these things and pick up tips and tricks from other people, I think it's been one of the best conferences as far as our company growing.
Yeah, and I think even just learning about new tech, I nerd out pretty hard whenever I go there and see all the new stuff. And now with AI, what's your take on AI?
I think it's inevitable. I think that it's happening. It again makes me happy that we're in a unique mode because AI is going to be able to figure out the van freight and the matching and the available freight to available trucks, and that's going to be something that is going to happen pretty quickly, I think. And in open deck, it's a lot different. It's a lot different. There's it's a lot more small carriers. You don't really do carrier sales on the open deck side. You almost individually per load find the carrier for that load. There's just not enough volume of carriers that have a lot of trucks to be able to try and do carrier sales on that side. You'd spend all day calling the onesie twosie guys.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's scary what they can actually do with it nowadays. It's really, you got to dot your I's and cross your T's just to make sure everything is really what it says it is nowadays. And that's, goes back to educating your team and making sure they're doing due diligence. But yeah, it's intimidating.
Have you heard the ones where they do the voice call, they'll call a driver and actually have a conversation with the driver, and it's an AI.
Legit.
It sounds just even with verbal pauses and ums and
the
ahs.
Mannerisms, the slang, it's everything. It's crazy.
It really is, and it's the only technology that's ever really kind of scared me, where it's like, okay, this could really be an issue across not just transportation, but a lot of different aspects of business.
It's funny because it reminds me of, so I'm cruising through Facebook one day, and here's these two babies, and all of a sudden they start talking to each other, and they're doing the same. I'm like, oh my God, I talked to my wife. I'm like, "Do you see these babies?" And she's like, "You know that's AI, right?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now? They can do that too."
Look at they taught this dog to talk. That's
They
what Ray's
talk
doing.
this talk.
Look at
They're doing
the dog.
the Snoop Dogg dance. All of a sudden, the
But
dog gets up and starts doing
you
it.
know that is not helping with the intelligence, marketing intelligence of our product.
Oh my God.
You thought the baby was talking like Samuel L. Jackson. Jesus, come on.
Say what one more time?
Oh my God. But I think everybody has been spoofed by something. Cause like, like whenever that, oh my God, you guys, it's so funny. Whenever that big snowstorm happened, there was like there was like an AI thing in Russia where it was like them like jumping out of buildings. And I thought that like, I was sharing that to everybody. I'm like, that's insane. And they're like, yeah, that's AI. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I was totally spooked. It happens to the best of us just because Matt's so smart. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, did you think a dog could really talk? Is that
Oh my God.
Samuel L. Jackson baby could really that?
Oh my God, that's
Come
so
on.
funny. But it's also kind of scary as far as like being a social figure and like Trump saying whatever online and you wouldn't know what to believe, and it's kind of like, ugh, I don't know.
Well, they can do with anything. They could take video of this right now and make me say something totally, and that's what scares me more than anything is your reputation is out there and people are quick to judge if they see something that's real to them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting whenever we put like regulation around things and stuff like that, which I think I'm big on like, don't let, government get involved with everything. But I do think we need some like likeliness thing, like with AI, that we need to have some regulation on that. And I don't know, it'll be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. I mean, so now are you basically got to copyright your image and your voice, or how do you have a legal standing? And someone looks very similar to you, is that it really gets
like the Jim Carrey thing? Did you see that?
Yeah, I just saw that online. They said Jim Carrey someone was
impersonating him at like an award show. And okay, prior to the guy coming out and saying it, so here's what happened. Jim Carrey went to an award show and his face looked like he had like tons of filler. Like he looked like Jim Carrey, but looked different. Right. And we're like, what? And he was being like really like acceptive of the award. Normally he does those award speeches where he like, blows up the Illuminati and whatever. And so this time he was like being, I guess, quote unquote, normal. And everyone's like, who is this? Like, this is not Jim Carrey. Like, this is really weird. And like his eyes were green instead of brown. And so I went down the rabbit hole of like, it's a clone and the Illuminati and conspiracy theory. And then later, like a week later, it took like a whole week. And then a whole week later, then this guy's like, oh yeah, we are coming out with a movie about this and this. And like, it was all for show and whatever. And I'm like, what? I was so convinced. So
it's amazing what they can do.
I think that they're going to start doing movies like that where they, because I don't know if on your feed, on any of your social, you get like you'll see the people that were in the Breakfast Club back then, and then now they like walk next to each other and put their arm around each other. And, it's just a matter of time before, someone, John Wayne's family sells the rights for him to be in a movie now. And now because it's gotten so good, he would be able to, it would be very believable that he's in that movie that they're making right now.
And then I would get down the conspiracy theory of Elvis is alive, Tupac is alive. Oh my gosh. But I could totally see all that happening, which is so crazy.
Absolutely.
You guys are making me cry. It's so funny.
Elvis is alive. You think they could hide his big ass this long? They couldn't hide Elvis that long.
Come
on.
No way.
No way.
But Tupac, did you see the thing in whatever country it is? It looks just like him. It has to be him.
He has a narcissistic personality. He's not going to stay in hiding either. By now he'd have popped up. Gotcha. He would have already popped out and said that.
Maybe, but sometimes maybe like it's weird take it from me. It's weird being in the limelight.
Oh yeah,
I'm totally kidding.
Yeah.
You got to fake your own death so that people don't recognize you. That's
exactly.
What it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to wear a mask everywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, totally kidding. That's hilarious. Well, cool. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So if you guys will say how everybody can reach you, how can they see Wize Load, and yeah.
Sales at wizeload.com is how we get a lot of people, connected with the product. We're online at wizeload.com. Take a look at the website.
WIZE.
I always forget that.
It looks, like a wide load banner. That's the logo is Wize Load,
I got it on my
WIZE.
shirt right here. Bang! You see that?
Yeah, I love your guys' logo. It's perfect. And just like the idea of it instead of wide load, Wize Load, mind blowing.
You know that truck that we have for I actually drew that on a napkin, and that's how that whole logo came to be.
Who knew
I
you
knew
were an
exactly what I
artist?
wanted.
Yeah,
it wasn't a masterpiece. It was what it is right now, though.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, this is long overdue. I can't wait to hang out with you guys. So I'll see you at TIA. I wish I was going to Mass to see you guys sooner, but
Yes, you will.
Yeah, we'll see you in Arizona.
Tell me everything. Tell me everything.